Hello, everybody. This is T. Beaulieu, author of The River. The next installment that I'm going to read is called Social Pleasantries and Deceit. Now, this is from book one. I know that I said that I was only going to do audio snippets from the previews from the upcoming book, Blood and Water, from book two. But this is so much fun, and book one is so exciting. I want to do a few audio versions, audio previews from book one, since it is the very first book that introduces so many of you to this rich world based in the 1920s Deep South. This one preview, a little backstory. Kelly and Sally. Now, Kelly is Slick's wife. Now, as you all know, Slick and Benjamin are half brothers. One is Cajun, one is Creole. Now, we all know that. Kelly is Slick's wife. It's his first wife, and Slick is her fourth husband. Now, in book two, we get into a whole situation that gets very, very shady about Kelly's husbands, and how some of them passed away mysteriously. But Kelly's turning out to be a very, very strange character. Even though she's incredibly warm, we really begin to understand how warm and kind and caring she is to all of those around her. But Kelly has a very dark, sinister nature to her, very much like her husband. To me, to be honest with you, they are a perfect match for you. They are a perfect match for each other, because, in all honesty, they're both killers. Kelly kills for upward mobility, societal mobility, and Slick. I think I guess you could say he killed for the same reason. But they both have this dark nature about them, and neither one of them shy away from murder. So in social pleasantries and deceit, Sally is her African American assistant, and Sally is like a spirit sister. Well, actually, Sally is her spirit sister, and both of them are incredibly close. But Sally has something's bothering Sally. When Sally was a little girl, she had a gay uncle that came up. I believe he came from Chicago, and he was only in South Carolina. I think Sally's uncle wasn't in South Carolina for a good week, and suddenly he was lynched. Now, as Sally grew up, she began to hear the specifics from elders on why it happened, and it's always bothered Sally, like why did this happen to her most favorite uncle? In fact, this uncle was the uncle that inspired her to become a doctor, so she was very close to this man. It always bothered her why it happened. So Kelly, being who she is, she's feeling that the best revenge is to take back what is yours. And Kelly, throughout her young life, she's always felt that revenge is the best kept secret concerning mental clarity, and she wants mental and spiritual clarity, and she wants her very best friend to understand this, to take back her strength, to take back her power through the tentacles of revenge. So Kelly, being as crafty as she is and very wealthy, she puts together this little luncheon for other wealthy socialites, some who are incredibly racist and some who are very progressive. So it's comical. Social Pleasantries and Deceit is actually very comical. It's really serious, but we really kind of get an idea, one, of Kelly's mindset, but also two, we kind of get a lot of an understanding of just the type of crowd she hangs around. These women, every last one of them, though they may be kind and whatever, they come from assorted backgrounds. A lot of her friends, the progressive people, the progressive women, a lot of them have blood on their hands, and they all have a very sinister background, a background that is shaded, that is covered with fine silks and diamonds and jewels and wealth. But all of these women, every last one of them, something just ain't right. So here we go. Viewing everything with inward chuckles, Sally stands in the South Hall, along with the other help, watching the growing crowd of gentility and expensive perfume like a hawk. The young assistant's fist clenched tight as warm steel as she watches Vanessa McLaren prance by, along with her hateful sisters, wishing for a second that she could turn the silver tray in her hand into a weapon. A few feet away, her eyes on Sally's darting glances, Kelly ushers the growing crowd into her drawing room, decked out just for the gathering. The young socialite had the large area redecorated in the style of a lavish English manor just that week. Cost her a pretty penny. Ushering each wealthy woman to her designated seating arrangement, the blonde flapper has everything planned out perfectly. To her right are a series of silk-covered seats in which the wealthy of the gathering sit. To the socialite's left, silk-covered seats, sit the nouveau riche, those that have just recently made their fortunes, as well as hard-earned reputations. Secretly, Kelly and Sally had planned the seating for a reason. Those that represent old money are usually the most cruel to their help, as well as other blacks in the world. The McLarens sit here. To the right of the McLarens is Maud Huntington, from the Huntington family, a local banking empire. Her family are infamous for beating their help, especially young black girls. It is even rumored that Mr. Huntington Sr. is a known rapist, having raped at least 5 black maids. Nothing has been done, and Maud could care less. To her right, a few inches away from the snobbish gray-haired wench, is Betty Bunny Wilcox, from the Wilcox Grocers empire. As pretty as the brunette is, still a true beauty at her age, she is just as evil. The Wilcox often hire young black men to stock their shelves and work in the back rooms of their stores, 2 of whom the wench got beaten very badly because of stealing. None of it was true, of course. She also hires only whites to work in the butcher department, something Kelly never fully understood. When a young black butcher down from Oregon protested last year, her husband had Toby Wilkes jailed on concocted charges. The young man was never heard from ever again. To the right of Bunny is Yvonne Mackey from the Mackey-Wilkenfeld Diamond Empire located in Atlanta, New York, and London. The blonde woman, younger than most in attendance, is a true blue blood, an English transplant, her father a duke. Though Yvonne is not a hard person, but her new husband is a grand dragon in the clan. Nothing else need be explained. Across from the women is a dainty spread of sandwiches and pastries, as well as other women that would be considered nigger lovers by the latter. Ursula Howard is one of these women, another blonde beauty, one of the oldest at the party, but still undeniably stunning. Her family is newly wealthy, creating a successful empire from importing flowers from all over the world. From the rarest orchids that are on display at some of the most posh parties, to the simple rose and tulip arrangements at Kelly's lunch, the beauty's husband has a monopoly on the flower business stretching as far as Belgium. The Howards are also known to treat their minority staff like actual human beings, offering the men, usually black and Hispanic, sick days, vacations, as well as health insurance for themselves, as well as their families. This is a first. This has not sit well in Charlotte. The family's homes and businesses have been threatened a number of times by the Klan, as well as other hate-mongers. To her right is Lolly Richardson. Her family is newly wealthy as well, though the young businesswoman does not depend on her husband for her board and keep. Lolly is a self-made woman. Her cosmetics company is one of the most influential in the Deep South, often competing with well-known European brands. Lolly coined this business in America by creating a small line of products that cater specifically to Black, Hispanic, and Asian skin tones. Though the offerings are small, just 8 lipstick hues and 12 fresh powders, the businesswoman has struck a deal with premier Black businesswoman, Madam C.J. Walker, often selling her products side by side with the Black beauty business titan. This has caused a wonderful stir with all ladies of color, especially those of the rising middle class up north. As bold as her business ideas are, a true pioneer, Lolly has created powerful enemies in the Deep South for her liberal views. Her businesses have been sabotaged on many occasions, Southern banks calling in loans, local vendors refusing to sell much-needed machinery and goods, just to name a few complaints. Being industrious and brilliant, just as she is pretty, the young entrepreneur now imports all of her materials from Paris and Holland. It makes for a slightly more expensive product, but the business genius's market value has increased by 120%, now a hot brand in over 13 countries around the world. Proudly, Kelly sits as she nods to Lolly. She has purchased a number of the woman's products for Sally, watching her friend transform into a true flapper beauty. With keen eyes observing everything, the hostess watches as her help pour tea and hand out refreshments. Kelly watches each woman's reaction to brown skin serving them, and the hostess is not disappointed, to say the least. The women on the right try their best to hide their looks of disdain, but cannot help themselves. Maud Huntington even snatches a solid silver sugar bowl from Kelly's butler, scowling at the older Black man as if he had just slapped her face. Bunny is no better, sarcastically commenting how good help is hard to find, glaring over at Sally, as if peeling the young woman's skin with her eyes. Determined, though feeling her blood starting to boil, Kelly keeps her eyes to her cup and cucumber sandwiches, all in order not to curse out anyone. The crafty socialite's plan is in action. Vanessa McLaren, for some reason, as Sally serves the socialite sandwiches, smiles at the young maid knowingly, a dreadful mock indeed. She knows whom Sally is, and what she'd done to the young woman's uncle. "So, ladies, how are things?" Kelly finally says, breaking the silence. Every lady shrugs, smiling politely. That is, until Maud speaks her usual nasal, posh, faux British accent. "These sandwiches, darling, are delicious, Kelly. Lovely indeed," the older woman says with a smile. "Thank you, Maud." Kelly grins. "I try my best. By the way, how is business?" The trap has been set. Like clockwork, Maud starts complaining about the banking business, how Yankees are undermining the Southern banking community with their liberal ideas. Then the mean-spirited woman starts complaining how Northern banks are giving Blacks, Hispanics, and lowly immigrants loans for lands and homes. Just like clockwork, Lolly Richards chimes in, telling her travels all over Europe, how such people are treated differently, especially the Blacks. Patiently, the young woman speaks of the lovely grand homes she has seen, talking, drinking, consulting with the most cultured of all people, all of whom were Black, or a hue thereof, many migrating from all parts of Africa. In her signature hushed, sexy drawl, the beauty goes on to express her mesmerized adoration for the bronze goddess, Josephine Baker. With joy in her eyes as the ladies look on, Lolly tells of her joy in seeing beautiful Black bodies on stages in Paris, all colors, moving in unison like the most exotic of butterflies before her eyes. She goes on to brag that the famous dancer and the singer is a patron of her esteemed cosmetics. With a warm chuckle, Lolly brags about creating a custom compact powder for the French dame, a true achievement indeed for the beauty maiden. "I tell you, she is glorious," Gesturing in the air with flair, the young socialite laments. "Ladies, this dame is a true goddess if I've ever seen," Lolly coos. "When this woman moves, it is as if she's made of liquid fire. Her feet never even seem to touch the stage. A beautifully strange event, I tell you." As the businesswoman recounts what changed her life, Ursula Howard smiles. She's heard about the Black Venus as well. In Paris, even the air seems different. Streets are filled with all kinds of people. Everyone seems artistic, truly living life in all of its wonderful grandeur. Open-air cafes and markets, each peddling their wares of culinary delights and fruits of the earth. There is no place like the legendary city on earth, especially for people of color. When Ursula first sailed to Europe, life was all it was expected to be. Her husband's business was just starting. Profits were rolling in, and the young woman wanted to finally see all that the world had to offer. Stepping off the boat in Germany, the young woman had seemed to have stepped into another universe, a world very much like our own, but somehow very different. Germany was Ursula's family's ancestral home, a place of legend and folklore, but seeing it all for the first time, her breath was taken away. Taking weeks to eat and drink her way to the great cities in and around Germany, the young traveler wandered on into Austria, then Belgium, finally into Paris. This is when life became so much more. Ursula watches as other women tell of their travels to Europe. The women on her side of the room, each wanting to explore humanity and all of its complexities, relate tales of exotic drinks, decadently delicious foods, and conversations with all kinds of people. As expected, the women from the other side of the room look on with sullen faces, some even sighing as if such tales are pure lies. Strident in her empty inner rage of ego and arrogance, Maud's thin lips tightened till non-existent, as if hearing the most sordid of sins and debaucheries. "Well, I am sure all is fine and good, but you all will see, mixing of the races will be Europe's downfall," she snides as several women on her side of the room nod. "Well, it seems to be doing very well for the Parisians," another woman says with a smile. Her name is Gertrude Hildenstein. Always bold and adventurous, one of the only wealthy Jews in and around Charlotte, the tinted reddish auburn beauty, Gertie to friends, is by far the richest woman in the room, not only by monetary standards, but in life experience as well. The quintessential flapper woman, Gertie is everything the modern woman wants to be, black or white. Rich beyond what is humanly possible, gorgeous almost to a filthy, horrible sin, the dame always has a flair for dramatics. Last year at the bicentennial ball held by the fathers of the Confederate Council, the audacious beauty made an interest that is still talked about and probably will be well on into the 20th century. First, being a Jew, the impulsive beauty was not invited to the function, a top-tiered social gathering in all the South. For Gertie, that did not matter. The makings for a wonderful scandal to be had. That night, the air was cool and flowing in the large hall, while on display was every Parisian designer known to man, along with the most expensive tailored finery for the men. Jazz music was sweet as a live orchestra played for popular tunes of the day, igniting everyone in a jovial flare. In a ballroom filled with the wealthiest old families of the Deep South, some traveling as far as Mississippi, Gertie strode in as if she owned the place, wearing more diamonds than the earth has ever thought to produce, especially the grand 67-carat eternity diamond brought from Swedish royalty. The ravishing beauty strode in with her powerful husband, arm in arm, wearing a custom-made gown created from black tinted crystal-encrusted peacock feathers and the finest in black satin. The socialite had moxie written all over her face. So audacious was the Coco Chanel created masterpiece, as Gertie passed, swaying her hips as if a Jewish Mae West, sighs and gasps could be heard from far and wide. Once at the end of the hall, then so silent a mouse could be heard pitching on cotton, the diva twirled with the long black train of her legendary ball dress around, waving her diamond-laden arms in the air, as if giving her blessing to the festivities. Smiling to Gertie, Kelly remembers the event fondly. She was there that night. The moment will go down surely in history, when a Jewish woman showed the old patriarchal South how it was really done, as if ushering in a new age indeed. Grinning, the hostess remembers the moment when Gertie looked at the representatives of the council square in their bigoted faces, daring each to even breathe. Her money and power would crush each of them like little ants. "Gertie, my dear, dear sister, that dress, my love, whatever became of it?" Kelly gushes, right as Maud glares at the Jewish woman. Smiling proudly, Gertie glares over at Maud. "My dear Kellyanne, darling, Coco placed it in her flagship boutique, hon. She says I am her muse, my love. It is on display for everyone to enjoy," the dame says expressively, her arms outstretched as if embracing all in the room and the world. "Imagine, honey pot, little old me, a muse!" Gertie smiles sweetly. Then the crafty beauty raises a small demure hand to her heart-shaped painted lips. Each one is wearing a sibling of the Star of Africa, 35 flawless carats of decadence and wonder. Looking over, Gertie grins at Maud's attempt to maintain her twisted self-demeanor, plotting and planning. You see, it was Maud that recommended to the community that the Jewish socialite not be invited to the well-known ball, even going as far as organizing a surprisingly effective campaign explaining why, with heated words like crooked thieves, Christian haters, and God afflicted, the hateful shrew had gathered over 12,000 signatures. Sipping her tea, Gertie has been waiting for a chance to verbally lash the old battle axe into an early grave, and she's about to get it. Miss Hildenstein, as wonderful as Europe may be for your people, Europe will one day be overtaken by the savages she opens her arms to. I know this to be true by experience, Maud says with her nose in the air. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. They are primitive in their natures, indeed. Europe will fall. Alas, we are seeing the decline of thousands of years of civilization. A young woman chimes in on Maud's side of the luncheon. Her name is Mary Hayes, another stunning brunette from South Florida. Out of all the women in the luncheon, Mary has her own type of distinction, and none of it has to do with money, nor family connections, though the beauty has both abundantly. Quick as a whip, Gertie looks to Kelly. Both women eye each other stealthily. Time to shed some blood, so to speak. Putting down her teacup, crossing her creamy legs, wearing another Chanel boucle custom creation, a suit that will become a staple for the designer onwards in fashion history. The flapper's eyes narrow with hatred. The brazen maiden glares right at Mary with a heart-shaped smile. Is that what you told your black lover, before or after you had your way with him? Everyone in the room is silent. Nothing is heard, not even breathing. This is Mary's distinction. She's a coward in the worst way. Several years ago, a young Mary was sent to boarding school in Atlanta. There she met Jenkins Joe Boy Washington, a bright, deliriously handsome black man from Alabama. Over time, as men and women do, regardless of societal constructions, the two became lovers. Under the solitude of the night stars, often out in the woods, Mary and Joe Boy made love, sharing their bodies and care, just as they were created to do. That is, until the dean of the boarding school caught wind of their nightly excursions into the twilight. One night, while in mid-stroke, the couple was caught in the act. To save face, Mary's family convinced the young girl to say that Joe Boy raped her, and that is exactly what she did. After a short trial, the young man was never seen again, as if disappearing into thin air. Years later, a corn farmer was tilling his land and came upon human remains. It just so happened that the farmer had a small group of sharecroppers, several of whom were Joe Boy's brother and cousins. As the story goes, when the farmer called the authorities, they investigated, at least pretended to, all while others looked on. When the human remains were pulled from the earth, a gold ring was found. It was a clue, as well as a death sentence for a whole entire family. You see, Joe Boy's relatives promptly told the family what had been discovered, and their father contacted a new organization called the NAACP. That was their undoing. Soon lawyers, black and white, were arriving from Baltimore asking questions to any and everyone that was brave enough to speak, all except the family, of course. You see, the family's house had been firebombed 2 days before the lawyers were to arrive. All perished. 7 adults, including a 99-year-old man, as well as 13 children. The investigation was over. Case closed. You measly, lily-livered bitch! You was the cause for that whole family to die, Gertie seethed. I had a good mind to take off these diamonds and kiss your bony ass. And I'll sue you for all you're worth, Mary snide, sipping casually with a devious grin. Brazenly, Gertie takes off one of her most coveted diamonds, placing it politely on the table in front of the ladies. Will this do, bitch? Quickly, Kelly rises, snatching the pastry tray from one of her butler's hands, offering more goodies, hoping to defuse the situation. Secretly, the socialite wishes only to do the opposite. Look, ladies, I called all of you to speak about the former gala to take place this fall. Midnight in Savannah, the hostess smiled, handing out sandwiches. All of you have connections, and we all need to make sure that this goes down without a hitch. Our fair city does well on its own, but tourist dollars could do our economy some good, especially a new hotel in downtown Charlotte. Taking a silver teapot from Sally with a wink, Kelly continues to lull differences of opinion. Maud, your husband is powerful in banking. Dear, this project needs investors, she says, looking to all the women. Kelly sits crossing her legs. So ladies, please, let's be civil. All of you have bottomless wallets, purses. I need your help in getting all of this off the ground, please. As Sally serves hors d'oeuvres, the hostess watches as each woman looks to her newly filled teacup, some still scowling, of course. Secretly, Kelly already has the investing she needs for the Baltimore hotel. Slick took care of that. Several of her husband's well-heeled clients were keen in investing in the legal business for a change. Sally and herself have their own reasons for calling known enemies together in one sitting room to start a societal war, one of which will hopefully lead to cold-blooded murder. Nothing is said as dozens of eyes glare to each other as if peeling skin and wishing death. Kelly looks to one woman in particular, Dorothy Hamill, a young beauty known for her kind ways, as well as her many lovers, Slick being one of them. Sipping, the hostess tries to understand why she invited the woman, suddenly remembering. Dorothy is a brazen ex-prostitute that married incredibly well. She also has a very dirty mouth. So Dorothy dear, Kelly coos. Standing a few feet away, Sally shakes her head. She knows what is about to happen. Dorothy's eyes rise from her teacup, looking to the hostess with a smile. She knows what is about to happen as well. Yes, hon, the vixen asks politely. So, dear, tell us all about your exploits. Fill the ladies in on some hot gossip. Who is with whom? All while being self-righteous every Sunday in the front pews, Kelly grins. We're all flapper women. There will be no judgment. Hearing the comment, Sally quickly leaves. If she does not, the young maids are going to belly laugh all over the parlor floor. Always a lady, the young seductress crosses her legs as she shifts her round hips in her seat. Kelly sees a few in front of her that need a good knocking off their pedestals, and she's just the woman to do it. But first, she has a question. Turning to a smiling Kelly, the ex-escort grins, pleased to be invited to such a small esteemed gathering. How slick. There's a gasp in the room. Kelly smiles, not missing a beat. Oh, love, he's fine, my love. Still a mighty fine lover indeed. You know that man. I still can't get enough of his loving, the socialite laughs. Crossing her long legs, smiling to a woman she has gotten to know in the most salacious of ways, Kelly giggles like a young girl. But you're welcome to him once again if you like. That thing you taught him to do with his mouth. Lord be girl. Oh my goodness. Good job, sister. Dorothy laughs bubbly, looking in front of her, seeing all types of disgust and disapproval. I do my best, she grins. Well, love, as you know, churchmen are some of the most adventurous men in bed, probably because their wives are as frigid and cold as ice over lakes in December, the young beauty purrs, looking directly at Maud. Rising, the oldest socialite gets ready to storm out the parlor with a huff until Dorothy mentions one name, Sarah Hensley. Maud turns, four others behind her stopping in their tracks. The socialite's eyes are suddenly red with fury. What did you just say, you hussy? She seethes. Dorothy coyly smiles, enjoying the attention. You heard me. I won't repeat myself. Sarah Hensley is another daring 22-year-old redhead, sort of a protege. The young woman is smart as a whip, gorgeous, and a surefire man-eater. Maud's husband has been secretly spending huge sums on the young vixen. Furs, jewels, a new luxury apartment, as well as a huge monthly spending allowance. Maud does not say much concerning her husband's infidelities. As a Southern woman, you accept that fact. Men will stray from time to time. But the old socialite is infamously cheap, often cutting severe corners when it comes to payment of her black staff. One young maid some years back had to wait 1 year to receive her payment. Since Maud had hired her on as a live-in, the wealthy blue-haired miser did not feel she had to pay the young woman, and this was not the worst of it. Since the young woman had no income, always at Maud's every beck and call, she was dependent on the socialite, even for meals during the week. It was later found out that the cheap hate-monger was feeding the young woman leek soup and bread every day for lunch, and her dinner was no better, usually what was left from the dinner that night, which was often not much. Dorothy and a few other housekeepers came to the woman's rescue. The maid now worked for her, a dear version of Kelly's beloved Sally, best friends to the end. Glaring up at the blue-haired socialite, Dorothy wants to rip off the matron's wig and beat her with it. But what would that solve? Her tongue can do so much more. Anyways, I heard your husband has been sliding to something young and tight, as well as spending all what you hold so dear to that cold heart of yours. Money, the vixen coos. Maud knows her husband's roving eyes, as does every woman in the room. With her back straight, looking to the redhead with a stern eye, Maud smiles coldly. If she was 20 years younger, she would have dragged the young socialite by her hair, beating her all over Kelly's front day room. The matron continues to smile. And what do you do about him? What do you know of it? Poor. Suddenly the room is in a eerie hush, dead silent. The gloves are off. Gently, as light as butterfly wings, a slight giggle arrives from Dorothy's robust bosom, the beauty chuckling at the words, seeming said to make her feel small. She has been called worse, but far better. Slowly walking up to the seated, seductive young woman, Maud shifts in her girdle, feeling her Cartier pearls and diamonds move around her neck, dabbed with the most expensive French perfume. Her head held high, the snobbish matron, decked out in a silver fox stolen dress, arrives in front of Dorothy, as if a schoolmarm to a young student. That was Social Pleasantries and Deceit. This was from The River, Blood Brother Chronicles, Book 1. The link to buy the book will actually be at the very bottom. It's actually on Amazon. Keep in mind, everyone, Book 2 the Blood Brother Chronicles. The River, Blood and Water is going to be out October 16th of this year, and I'm so very excited about it. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I hope you guys enjoyed this audio rendition of a preview that's actually been out for a rather long time. This, out of all the previews that I've retweeted, this is one that got a lot of retweets, so apparently a lot of people really do enjoy it. And it's really awesome to kind of feel the characters bubble up in my voice, and I'm hoping to kind of give them life, and to get people even more into Kelly and Sally's world of intrigue, money, wealth, and and devious planning. To everyone, again, thank you so much for your support. I am so eternally grateful. Signing out, and look out for more audio renditions of previews to be sent from upcoming titles. Thank you, everybody, and this was fun. Signing off. Thanks again, everyone.